I'm John Terode and you're watching Joburg Today.
Smash and grab is a crime that some of us may have been victims of in Johannesburg. It is one that is still on the increase nationally. Well, if you haven't experienced this, that is great news. However, you could be vulnerable if you are not aware on what can be done to safeguard yourself and your valuables. We chatted to Stan Bezuidenhout of IBF Investigations for some advice and greater insights.
What most people don't realize is that smash and grab is a crime of opportunity. And what we'll find is that smash and grab is something that proliferates as a cycle. During certain times, it goes quiet as people respond to it and people become a little more vigilant. Then we find that it's on the upswing again and you start getting it more and more common. So there's not a particular prediction as to when it is at what level. It changes from time to time. So the best way to be aware is to keep a close eye on social media and current reports. It's not a crime you can get away from. It's more of a crime you can potentially prevent. So in a Joburg setting, in a Johannesburg environment where we know that sometimes traffic is extremely busy, condensed, slow, and where you can stand at intersections for extended periods while you wait for the natural flow of traffic, the only thing you can really do is to find ways and mechanisms to prevent it. But to say that you need to get away from it, once you're stuck in traffic between other cars, you are a potential target, and you've got to understand and realize that and take steps to try and prevent it happening to you specifically. All crime is deterred through three possible mechanisms. The first is physical barriers. One of the most important things is that you need to make it difficult for a smash and grab to actually happen. The way in which you do that is to actually attach or add something to your vehicle, like the so-called smash and grab film that's applied to vehicles. There are a variety of different types. Some of them are specifically designed to be extremely hard and resistant to breakage. So in that case, you would attach a film to your car, you would put so-called smash and grab film on your car. In that case, you need much more force than what would typically happen quickly on the side of the road. So that's the first thing you can do. The next thing you can do to prevent smash and grab is to remember that they don't all involve the actual smash. Having the best tint in the world or the best protection in the world and leaving your windows open is probably one of the easiest ways for the snatch part of it. So the criminal could walk past and simply grab from your car. In order for you to prevent a smash and grab scenario, you have to be vigilant and aware. You have to look at your environment. You have to be sure that you can see whether the environment is safe or not. The way in which you go about detecting an unsafe environment is an abnormal or unnatural amount of pedestrian traffic or movements. If you see people skulking around, moving in between cars, walking along a row of cars, keep a view in your mirrors to see if somebody approaches. As far as the physical barriers go, you then want to keep your windows closed and your possessions clear. The second component of deterring this kind of crime is the so-called soft or intellectual barriers. Those are the things you can do to change your victim status. One of the most important things is many people have gotten used to so many people begging at their car that they don't want to make eye contact. They look away, they look down, they act like they're on the phone in an effort to try and create a disconnect. The problem is you're also disconnecting from your environment. So when an attacker approaches, he can see that you are mentally committed to another task, not attentive or not alert to his approach. And that's when you can potentially become a victim. So by ensuring that you keep both your hands on your steering wheel, that you sit upright in your vehicle, you don't slouch, you look out at the environment. When people walk towards your car, you look towards them. You don't have to stare them down. That's not what we're talking about. I'm merely talking about making them aware that you are alert. When they see that environment, the chances are that they'll move on to a victim that's distracted as you are not. Another component in deterring or preventing a smash and grab scenario is where you actually physically act or do something. If you see somebody moving, skulking, moving close to vehicles, approaching you from behind, you have to think about the actions you can take before anything happens. One of the most important actions you can take before anything happens is to ensure that there are no items in your vehicle that can be grabbed. That's again what it's about. It's called smash and grab. If your handbag is on your seat, if your cell phone is in your hand, if your firearm is between your seats, if your laptop bag is on the back seat, you are creating opportunities for smash and grab, or even just for the grab component. So it's always a good idea to have your personal belongings out of view. Anything you are not going to use while driving can potentially go into the trunk of your car or under the seat, or at least on the floor where it's impossible to see or get to. But this is another benefit specifically of the so-called window protection film, is that often they include a so-called tint or a darkening, which makes it more difficult for the potential criminal to see the item in your vehicle.